limiting beliefs. I am doing a little shuffle of some cards, and I love this one. Holy shit, you are enough. So this is from the Spiritual AF deck, and the Spiritual AF deck is a deck that's kind of sassy, right? That's why I like it. So, holy shit, you are enough. What would happen if you let yourself drop all the reasons you've made up about why you're not good enough? What if you tried it just for today? You can always go back to believing you're not good enough tomorrow, but you may find you may find the way you like the way it feels to like yourself, like really, really like yourself. Kind of nice, right? So I love this deck because it always gives, honestly, the best reminders to love ourselves a little bit more, which is perfect because today we are talking about limiting beliefs. So if you guys have never heard the term limiting beliefs, a limiting belief is essentially anything that you think that keeps you from getting to that next phase or stage of life. Anything that you believe that might be keeping you stuck in a scarcity mindset, in a limiting belief mindset, and a mindset of, oh, yes, they have that thing and it makes sense for them to have that thing, but I'm not deserving or worthy of that thing. That's what a limiting belief is. A big way we see limiting beliefs come up is around money and scarcity mindset. So if you have never dealt with money mindset or feeling like you don't have enough, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about scarcity mindset. So a big challenge with scarcity mindset a lot of times starts in childhood. So, for example, I grew up with parents who they both grew up very poor, and so then as I was growing up, there was always something coming up around money. There was always a fear of not enough. There was always a lot of talk of money, a lot of arguments around money, and so money became kind of this taboo or challenging or scarce thing, right? Where it was always like, is there going to be enough? Where is it going to come from? All this worry, right? And so the more that I started to look back and realize limiting beliefs are a thing, I started to really isolate like where my limiting beliefs come from. So I always have just felt like I was going to be an entrepreneur, do something not of the normal corporate traditional world. I didn't know what that looked like, and the older I got, the more it became clear, but there were a lot of struggles along the way to get there. So whenever I was younger, I remember telling my dad that I wanted to be Stacey London from What Not to Wear. I don't know if you guys remember that show. It was a TLC show, and basically she would take these people and she would kind of transform all their lives and give them this kind of great confidence upgrade and involve their support system and just all these different things, right? So I really resonated with the concept of wanting to just help people change and transform their lives and be able to step into basically a new version of self, or what I would now call a higher timeline. So I was really resonating with this, right? I was like, I don't know, probably 10 years old, like, Dad, I want to be Stacey London from What Not to Wear. And he immediately was like, yeah, that's not a real job. If you want to be successful, if you want to have money, you need to go to college, get a degree, work for somebody else, and like, that's what you do. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't know I only had one option. That one doesn't sound, really like what I want to do. And I grew up in definitely an area where it was sort of like, that's what you do. You go to school, you go to college, you get a job, you work for somebody for 30 years. And that concept just never really aligned with me. And so I kind of got in this space of being like, okay, well, this doesn't really align with me, but I don't really know what does. And I ended up working in the corporate world for about 10 years. I ended up having this really strong connection to help people find their soul purpose through a traditional career. So I did recruiting and I did HR and I did all these things, and I wasn't fulfilled, I wasn't happy, I didn't enjoy it. And I got to the point in my corporate career where I had all the things that like the world tells you you need to have to be happy. And I had them and I hated what I did. I hated waking up on Mondays. I hated every aspect of it, right? And I realized like, oh, I'm only doing this because I've been told this is the only thing there is, that if I want to be successful, if I want to make money, if I want to have security, this is the only way that I can do it. And I was like, well, I don't think it is though, because I see all these other people creating all these different businesses and doing things their own way, and like there has to be more to this. So I started to really explore like, why do I have this belief where I see tons of other successful entrepreneurs, people in the spiritual world, and why do I feel like they can do it and I can't? And I was brought back to kind of that original moment of it being like, no, obviously you have to go to college and get a degree and work for somebody, and that's the only option. And so I was very much like, oh, that's what it is. It's like basically from childhood, I was told like there's only one path if you want to, make it here on earth kind of deal. And the more I started to explore that, the more I realized like, oh, this is a limiting belief that my parents had based on their upbringing. This is not a limiting belief based on what I believe in myself. I very much believe that I'm abundant, that I can create a business to be able to help people, and all of the different reasons that I didn't think that that was possible was because I had had kind of these limiting beliefs and kind of educational programming where like what I do now would never have been an option for a career 20 years ago on what do you want to do at school sort of day. So that is honestly just a little bit about when I started to realize we have a lot of scarcity mindset from our childhood or from our upbringing, and there's so much that we have to do to kind of overcome those limiting beliefs. So today we're going to talk about specifically the limiting belief around scarcity mindset, right? This concept that there's not enough for me, there's not enough money, I'm always going to be struggling, I'm always going to be poor because I grew up in a poor family, whatever. That's the specific scarcity mindset we're going to be talking about today, is the scarcity mindset and limiting belief around money, abundance, all of that. And then I'm going to give you guys 3 ways that I have helped to reprogram my subconscious to depart with some of these limiting beliefs and step into a more abundant mindset instead. So let's get into it. What I want you guys to do is I want you to take a moment and think about one thing that you really want. Let's say you really want 1 million subscribers on YouTube, but let's think about why you're maybe afraid of that. Maybe you're afraid of having 1 million subscribers on YouTube because you're afraid of being seen. Maybe it's because somebody has told you at some point that money is evil, or that if you have money, you're bad. Maybe it is because you're worried that you might get some hate and not be able to handle it. We all have these dreams or these things we want to do, but then we have these reasons or these stories we've created in our mind as to why we can't get to that thing. And so for me specifically, there was a big limiting belief around building a successful spiritual business. Again, I had kind of been brought up in this mindset of like, if you want to have money, success, whatever, you have to do it through the terms of climbing the corporate ladder and building a career that way. And that was the only way. And so now, obviously, in 2025, you can literally have a business and make money doing absolutely anything as long as you're good at it and it's aligned with your soul path, right? We see people literally making, hundreds of thousands of dollars on an Instagram page because they're good at taking pictures of their dog, like you literally can make money doing anything now. So now we're at a point where a lot of people are like, okay, I have these crazy dreams, but I've been keeping myself back from them. Why? What am I afraid of? And that's going to be where your limiting belief kind of comes in. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about that thing that you want to manifest, and then I want you to take a couple minutes to journal or think about why it is you're afraid of that thing. Like, what limiting belief do you have? Is it that you know that you're destined to be somebody who's supposed to share your story to help millions of people and you're supposed to make a ton of money, but you feel like, oh, if people make money, they're bad or they're evil? Like, what is the root cause of the thing that's keeping you from getting to that point? That's what we're going to sort of work to identify with our limiting beliefs. Then once you've sort of worked through that, maybe your story resonates a lot to mine, where you're like, yeah, I grew up and money was always a tight topic in the home, and so now I have this, fear that there's never going to be enough. Whatever that sort of thing is that's there, that's what I want you to spend some time journaling, reflecting, releasing today. And then after you do that, I have a couple other steps I want you guys to go through to really release this limiting belief. So first thing that I think is incredibly important to start your releasing of limiting beliefs and reprogramming your subconscious mindset is affirmations. So if you guys obviously are on YouTube, so there's a girl on YouTube I love, her name is Lavender, and she does affirmations specifically around self-confidence, breaking free of scarcity mindset, all the things we're talking about today. So if that resonates with you, she has like 15, 20-minute long meditations and affirmation videos that I personally started using a few years ago when I started to work to really transform my mindset. So the more that I worked to transform my mindset, the more I realized like, oh, affirmations literally work. We have these stories that we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not worthy enough, whatever. And you can literally override those negative beliefs with subconscious programming through affirmations by saying things like, I am brave, I am abundant, good things are flowing to me every day. I am worthy of success. I am a successful business owner. You have to get in the energy of being that person that has that thing and knowing that you're deserving of it before that thing is going to come to you. So with limiting beliefs, we're also getting a little bit into manifesting as well, because our limiting beliefs can keep us from manifesting. So for example, if you write down, I want to manifest $1 million, and immediately your mind's like, you're not worthy of $1 million, you're never going to have $1 million. That manifestation is not going to come true because of that limiting belief. So limiting beliefs impact what we do in so many different ways. So affirmations, I am going to take a moment and just do a few affirmations with you guys before we move on to the next step. So what I love to do when I'm doing affirmations is I love to put my hands over the heart chakra, really connect, maybe do a few deep breaths, and then I'm going to share some affirmations that you guys can repeat out loud to yourself. The first affirmation is, I am abundant. I am abundant. Abundance is my birthright. Good things are always flowing to me. I will always have enough. All the money I spend comes back to me. It is safe for me to spend money. It is safe for me to have money. It is safe for me to be rich. It is safe for my impact to also become my income. Any of those that resonate with you, you can always come back to this video and kind of scroll back and do those affirmations again. But affirmations, whenever I started doing affirmations to work on this programming and subconscious limiting beliefs that I had kind of gotten over the course of my lifetime, I was doing affirmations 4 or 5 times a week. Every day when I got up, I was getting ready, I was putting on my makeup, bam, affirmation playlist on. And I did this, and it slowly started to really impact my mood, how I saw the world. And then I started to notice whenever I was in situations where normally I would be like, of course this happened, nothing good ever happens to me. Instead, I was like, this is a lesson, this is trying to teach me something, and this is something that I need to go through in order to grow. It completely changes and rewires that subconscious programming that we have. So next thing I want you to do after you get in the habit of doing affirmations is I want you to journal specifically on the affirmations that make you feel uncomfortable to say them out loud. So maybe you have a dream of being a New York Times bestselling author, but when you say out loud, my dream is to be a New York Times bestselling author, maybe you can't even say it out loud. Maybe it's just this dream in your mind that you've never told anybody out loud. Maybe you've never even told anybody that you want to write before, and yet you have this dream. What I'm going to have you do is I am going to have you actually write and journal on this blockage, right? What is that thing that you want to do that you haven't told anybody, that you're afraid? Maybe you'll look stupid, maybe you'll fail. Journal on that, right? Take some time to really think about, what do I need to do to release and break free? Once you finish journaling, I want you to write at the end of it, I release all these limiting beliefs. These limiting beliefs are not mine. I step into abundance. Some sort of affirmation like that to show that that phase is sort of closed out. After all this, you are going to start doing visualization meditations. So whenever we get rid of our limiting beliefs, we can then start to manifest easier. Whenever we manifest, we want to do it a lot of times through visualization meditation. So what this looks like is maybe you want to have a incredibly successful business or write a New York New York Times best-selling book. What does it look like when you're in that moment? Visualize yourself being that person, being in that moment, having those things. Imagine what it would feel like. Because what we're doing when we're getting rid of limiting beliefs is we're tapping into the feeling of trying to have that thing. And the feeling of trying to have that thing is what's going to help you to manifest and also vibrationally align with that version of self that has those things that maybe you don't have right now, but you know you're supposed to have. So those are your 3 steps to breaking out of limiting beliefs: affirmations, journaling, and visualization meditation. If you're not sure what a visualization meditation looks like, here's what I would normally do is I would pick something specific I want to manifest, 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Take a moment to just sit in meditation and visualize that thing being real in your life. Visualize that stage of life. Visualize yourself experiencing that thing. Visualize the kind of person you are. And that's going to give you the blueprint to the kind of person you need to be a vibrational match to the thing that you want to align to. But in order to do all of that, you have to acknowledge that you have limiting beliefs, acknowledge where they came from, and start to do the work to realize those limiting beliefs are not yours and that you are truly inherently abundant. So that is our spirituality update today about limiting beliefs. Another really cool way you can identify your limiting beliefs is through the Akashic Records. So if you want to book an Akashic Records reading and tap into your limiting beliefs, whether they be tied to past lives or messages from your spirit guides that need to come through, you can always book an Akashic Records reading at the link on my YouTube page. And under there, you'll see different types of readings that I offer, and all of them are offered virtually and in person. I do have a location in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I also offer Zoom readings to literally anywhere around the world. So if that interests you, you can head to the link in my bio. It is just my website. It is madisondaniels.com. And before we leave off, I wanted to leave you guys with a journaling prompt. So I have this deck of cards. How freaking beautiful. And look, they're so beautiful, but they're actually like journal prompts or questions that you could sort of use to have deep conversations with people. So I'm going to leave you with one of these as your limiting belief journal prompt to spend some time thinking about journaling, whatever, to help you release some of those limiting beliefs that may be holding you back from getting to that next stage. So perfect. The cards always know. Okay. What does my dream life look like? So take a moment. Think, visualize. Everybody already knows, right? Like pretty much everybody has a dream life. Mine is having a house by water. I don't really care what water, but having a place that I live that I can go out and I can be in nature and I can be pretty secluded, but I can also connect with water in some capacity. And then from there, that's kind of like my physical, surroundings that I want. And then from there, what I want is to be able to every single day be doing this sort of work, be able to work with people one-on-one to teach them things like Reiki and Akashic Records and how to tap into their medium abilities. I want to launch and create a membership site where I teach you guys how to channel different meditations, different metaphysical concepts, how to do things like clear karma, step out of the ego, step out of divine masculine energy into divine feminine energy. Like, I know what that dream life looks like for me. And because I know what that looks like, I'm now actively doing the things every single day to get myself one step closer to that dream life. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm just gonna pick my visual of my new life and then bam, it's gonna be there tomorrow. And it doesn't normally quite work that fast. Normally you kind of figure out what that dream life looks like, then you figure out what limiting beliefs are stopping you from getting to that dream life. Then you're gonna work to reprogram and rewire the mind to be a vibrational match for that dream life. So those are some of the steps you can take if you've been struggling with limiting beliefs and you want to be able to break free of that and step into your dream life. So spend a little time today journaling about your dream life, what that looks like, and taking an honest maybe inventory of, are you doing things every single day to help get yourself closer to that dream life? And if you're not, that's perfectly fine. The first step is acknowledging, I have this dream life, I'm not really doing anything in alignment. What do I need to do to start the process of alignment? And do one small thing that your future self will thank you for today. Thanks so much for tuning in to this live. I did want to share before I go, we do still have one spot left for our Sedona retreat. So Sedona, Arizona is where my spiritual awakening journey started. And I've had this dream to basically recreate some of the experiences that I had there that really jump-started my spiritual awakening and got me comfortable with more things like energy work and Akashic records and connecting with spirit guides and channeling and all of that. So if that is up your alley, there is also a link on my website that's linked in my YouTube bio for the Sedona retreat. If you are interested in going, it is September 21st to September 26th. And it is a all-girls retreat, so it will be a great time of connecting in spiritual community with like-minded people. We're going to do a lot of spiritual work, a lot of also really fun things. We're going to do a day trip to the Grand Canyon. We have a house that we rented that has a pool where we're going to do like floating meditations and cacao ceremonies. And we are also going to do a lot of work on clearing negative energy in a vortex. If you're not familiar with vortexes are actually these areas of earth where there's normally on sacred land and the energy is very concentrated, so the veil is thinner. So it's a lot easier for people to clear things, have spiritual experiences, have new encounters with spirit guides. And that was how a big part of my journey sort of quantum leaped me into doing this now, was doing energy work with a healer in a vortex of Sedona. And so my guides were like, literally create that experience for other people who want to also be able to take that quantum leap and also want to be able to shed any limiting beliefs that are keeping them stuck from fully stepping into their gifts. So all of those are things that we're going to be doing in Sedona, like I said, September 21st to the 26th, and it is truly going to be a beautiful time of just unlocking new gifts, new spiritual abilities, and connecting in community. So I hope to see you there. You can feel free to write me with any questions that you have about the retreat. And I also have some information on my Instagram about the retreat as well. All of my socials are at A Holistic Awakening, and you can find more about me there. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys